North Wilkesboro Speedway in North Carolina this weekend hosts NASCAR All-Star Weekend. And part of that, some of the finest short track racing in the country. Today, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour will take center stage here at North Wilkesboro for the FaithFest Evangelistic Ministries 150, sponsored by Mercer Transportation. Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Koss, alongside Hall of Fame and legendary broadcaster Ben Dodge, who knows modifieds better than anybody else. Ben, this today, the biggest stage that the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour will race on all season long.
It certainly is the biggest stage. Everybody is pumped up. Everybody wants to be a part of the atmosphere and the festivities. It's all been building. It's just not a modified event. It's an opportunity to showcase yourself before the real superstars, from cup racing all the way down the food chain, Joe. And you're looking at a group of men that are chomping at the bits. North Wilkesboro Speedway has so much history, and that history has been brought back to life. There's the historic signs, the old Winston NASCAR Cup Series signs. It's all about atmosphere when you come to this grand facility. 5/8 of a mile, it was the showcase. At one time, the pride of this community. It went quiet for a while. But, Joe, it's not going to be quiet today.
It has been revitalized, and you can't ask for better weather here in Wilkes County today. 74 degrees, partly cloudy, a light breeze here just to keep things cool as the afternoon rolls on, because the competition on track is certainly going to get heated. Let's take a look at what this racetrack has for statistics. You talked about the history of this. You go all the way back to 1947 when they put this famed facility together. It's been part of NASCAR history from the very beginning.
It certainly has. And, of course, you just took a peek at the Benny Parson banner. But, you know, the location is, of course, North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. We talked about opening in 1947. It's literally the front straightaway's 0.625-mile oval. It's an asphalt facility, of course, and the track was revived in 2023. You're looking at part of that history, part of that foundation. But today, it's going to be every man for themselves, because there's not one modified competitor in the country that doesn't want to be or isn't at this particular race. This is a race that puts your name on the list of validations.
All eyes on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour here today. We'll have more pre-race coverage in a moment from North Wilkesboro.
You can have the hope of Jesus Christ, and you can have that right now. You say, Craig, well, how can I have that? Jesus himself said when he started his ministry, he had been in the wilderness, been tempted. And he came out of the wilderness, and John the Baptist had been put in prison. And he said these words. He said, the kingdom of God is at hand. Repent and believe the gospel. What does that word repent mean? Just like everybody's going to turn left right here today. It means that you turn to Jesus. You turn to Jesus and trust what he did on Calvary to save your soul. And you say, well, Craig, how do I do that? This is how you do that. My Bible says, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. And you can be saved right now by repenting of your sins and by faith trusting him as your personal Lord and Savior. You see that? For God so loved the world, that can be you today. Then he can forgive you and give you a hope in the future. And if you're hearing the sound of my voice and you say, Craig, that's what I want.
The crowd filing into North Wilkesboro Speedway as they get ready to see the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour for 150 circuits, the third race of the 2025 season. Been plagued by weather, but not today. Beautiful conditions for excellent side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel action. Ben, they're all staged, as you would say, with all the colors of the rainbow. Why don't we take a look at how this race will play out through our race analysis today?
Well, it's so important to take a look at this. It's 150 laps. The tire allotment, 2 per stop, 9 total. Recent winners of the event going back to 2023, it was Matt Hirschman. Justin Bonsignora was the big winner in 2024. Today, a youngster has moved to the front of the class. Very familiar in Southern racing, He is the man that will be starting up front in row number 1 with a name that is synonymous with modified racing.
And that's Luke Baldwin, earned his second career pole here just a little while ago. He'll lead the field around to the green flag in that famed 7 New York. This year, though, we are celebrating the 40 years of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. I want to take you back down memory lane. Let's go back some years ago to Nazareth Speedway. This day back in 2003 when the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour took Nazareth by storm.
I just want you to know you made the greatest decision
There's no question.
you will ever make. It's more important than anything what you do with Jesus Christ.
These open wheel wonders take the tricky 1 mile Nazareth Speedway for 100 miles of mayhem. And it has been wild. Ted Christopher was up front, but John Blewett took the lead. Christopher said, not too fast there, big fella.
All today in Jesus Christ. And we're going to have...
Stop this race with just 2 laps remaining. But the big question now is there enough fuel in these cars to go to the finish? The crewmen a little bit nervous, and I'll bet Christopher's nervous too because John Blewett was able to get by him with a few laps to go earlier, so can he do it one more time? The green flag is out. Here comes Ted Christopher, 2 laps to go. John Blewett is going to try to make a last-ditch effort. Here he goes to the outside. Here comes Blewett off of turn number 3 down the front straightaway, but no way. Number 13 gets victory 13. Ted Christopher is our winner here at Nazareth Speedway.
The magic of numbers. Let's take a look back at this. We just saw it. It was the 13th career win for Ted Christopher back in 2003, but that wasn't the only story. It was held on this exact day. Ryan Newman, we just took a look at the number 4 car sitting behind the wheel of Garbarino's car. We'll tell you stories about that team as well later in our broadcast.
We talk about the 40 years of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. More excitement to come. Ryan Newman, he's in the field today. He's going to be ready to go racing for 150 laps here at North Wilkesboro. More to come as a pre-race coverage continues from North Wilkesboro.
We couldn't do it without Whelen. I don't believe we've ever taken a product off that was broken. It was we put the car out of service.
What price do you put on a life? We don't want to run the risk of causing loss of life through our response.
Whelen sells peace of mind. Their goal is to get home each and every evening. And if we play a small part in ensuring they get home safely each day, it's extremely gratifying.
Well, the stage is set. The cars are ready for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour FaithFest Evangelistic Ministries 150. Third race of the season. Ben, this weekend has been absolutely full. We highlighted the NASCAR All-Star race that'll be run later on tonight, but we've seen great on-track racing already. The Cars Tour has had a couple of events. The Craftsman Truck Series ran here yesterday, along with heat races and qualifying for the NASCAR Cup Series.
It has been a full card. And speaking of full cards, there was some big news that was released by NASCAR this past week. And, of course, we all understand that this is the 40th anniversary of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. But some were quite surprised on who would make the cut and the first 10. Joe?
They'll announce these in 4 different groups as the summer goes on in no particular order, but here are the first group of the 40 greatest modified tour drivers, led off by none other than the mighty Mike Stefanik.
One of the greatest of all times. There's no question about that. And, of course, joining him, the guy that has been a factor and still continues to be a factor, that is Ronnie Silk.
2-time champion of the series, Rowan Pennick, who won several races, drove Old Blue. 2-time champion Donnie Leah on the list, along with Jeff Fuller, who had a great and storied career.
There's no question the Fuller brothers, both Jeff and Rick Fuller, made their mark in modified racing. They were among the first for Jeff to go down south, and Ricky Fuller always was a colorful, talented driver.
The hot shoe, Chuck Hosfeld, Woody Pitkat, Richie Evans, of course, and Tim Conley. Speaking of Tim Conley, we have Matt Dillner joining us on the broadcast here this afternoon. Let's send it down to Matt and some more on Tim Conley.
Well, this week we announced the 40 greatest drivers in Whelen Modified Tour history, and one of them was Tim Connolly right here. But he's on the bench this week, and he's playing the role of car owner. Ryan Newman's going to be behind the wheel of the famed Mystic Missile #4. Tim, before we get to the honor that you were given this week, explain to the fans what's going on, what's led to Ryan being in the car.
Well, Ryan and I have been talking for the past year or whatever, so which is really exciting for me, my family, and the whole team. So it's an honor. Looking forward to it. We've had some fun already in a short period of time. Ryan's a wheelman. He's going to go fast. We've got some help from Ryan Stone and some of the boys. So Ryan's been on the car himself an awful lot all week long. We're excited. We're optimistic about it.
Well, you know, it's probably tough to be out of the seat, too. You know, I know you had some surgery, spinal surgery, right? And how is it so far being a car owner?
It sucks. I don't know how to sugarcoat it. It's a different deal, and it's tough. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's tough, but Ryan being here makes it a lot easier. So I'm excited about that part of it.
Well, now that it's getting loud, let's ask you, so maybe you can't even hear me. You can BS me. But what type of honor is it for you? You've been around these modifieds for a long time. You think of iconic cars, you think of Old Blue, and you think of the Mystic Missile. What is it like to be behind the wheel of this car?
So, separate from all you said, I've been behind the wheel some iconic cars in the Silver Crown Series. Yep. And that just kind of carries over into what we're doing here with the modified deal. It's a great opportunity to drive the Mystic Missile. Tim's given me the opportunity, given me the reins, so to speak, to go out there and try to carry that livery on, and it's no better place than the historical North Wilkesboro Speedway. So to me, it's a great opportunity for all of us on the stage of All-Star Weekend, and with all the sponsors that we put together to be on and a part of this car. Just look forward to the opportunity. That's really what it's all about. But again, the legendary name of the Garbarino family, and I think Tim said he started in like 1961, right? Like long before we were ever thought of, just shortly after our parents were thought of, right? So like it's got a lot of history, and that means a lot to me.
The thoughts of Ryan Newman and Tim Conley. Let's go trackside for pre-race ceremonies.
Motorsports, please welcome from FaithFest, Evangelistic Ministries, Andrew Wagner, Zach Baker, and Jamison Wooten. Drivers, start your engines!
Well, we're back here at North Wilkesboro, and the stage has been set, Joe. Everybody's in the cars, strapped in, crew members making the final adjustments of air and tire pressure, and you're looking at the front row. An impressive front row it is, a surprise for some, but for others, not at all.
Very, very talented Luke Baldwin on the front row, and he's got a quite talented driver alongside in the form of Jacob Lutz. It's the second pole of the season and second career pole for Luke Baldwin. Jacob Lutz with his best career start here today.
Let's take a look at row number 2. We've got Austin Beers there. Of course, he's had 2 top 5s, qualified in the last 13 events, rather. He's qualified in the top 12. Matt Hirschman, Big Money Matt, outside row number 2.
Justin Bonsignor starts 5th, defending series champion and defending winner of the race here at North Wilkesboro. He won the event back in October. Ryan Newman in the Mystic Missile number 4, 2008 Daytona 500 champion and 18-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, starts 6th.
Then we go to a gentleman who is no stranger to Southern competition, Joey Coulter, driving the SRI Performance Machine. He'll start back in 7th. Tyler Ripkema, who's been coming on strong, will make up that 4th row to the outside with the bowler number 3.
Inside row 5, a 2-time Whelen Modified Tour winner. That's Kyle Bonsignor from Bayshore, New York, alongside the championship point leader through 2 races. That's Patrick Emerling.
2 young guns that make their career known at the Stafford Speedway, coming up through the ranks as a champion there. Stephen Kopsick, car number 21. He can tune and he can drive in the Newtown Pools Warnack construction car. And Teddy Hodgson from Danbury, Connecticut, considered a rookie in the Montanari Fuels car.
Corey LaJoy is back in the Whelen Modified Tour. He'll start 13th in the Gary Putnam number 77, former winner at the Martinsville Speedway, alongside Trevor Catalano. He missed this race last year because he got married. He's back at Martinsville, or I should say at North Wilkesboro, for the first time in 2 seasons.
Going back to the 8th row, of course, Tommy Catalano right there to contend in the FX Capara machine. And Dave Zapienza comes back with that Ted Christopher tribute car, starting 16th on the grid.
You go back another row, you've got Craig Lutz in the 46. He'll start 17th. Joey Braun, the Hill Enterprises, number 79, returns to the Whelen Modified Tour as he makes his series debut.
Then we go back to 19th. Eric Goodale, the 58 machine, GF Roofing, and Kyle Ebersol with car number 5.
Carson Lofton made his debut here in the series 2 years ago. That 23 will start inside of the row, starting 21st. Bobby Labonte, Cup Series champion from the year 2000, starts 22nd.
Then we go back to our 12th row, John Michael Chenette out of Thompson, Connecticut, in the USNE Power Machine. Jake Crum will be starting in the 24th spot from Statesville, North Carolina.
25th starter, that's going to be Joey Cipriano out of Waterbury, Connecticut, and Jeremy Gershner from Tampa, Florida, to his outside.
27th starting position, Tyler Berry from Griswold, Connecticut, considered a rookie, and the number 12 of Brian Sonez out of Freeland, Pennsylvania.
Rounding out our starting lineup today, Ken Hagee, Mike Marshall, and Luke Fleming. Field has begun to roll here today in what has been a hurry-up schedule here, Ben, because they had a short time to get on track earlier. They went out and they qualified, and now the race, of course, they will set the stage as a preview to what we will see for the NASCAR All-Star race later today. And because of that, it puts drivers like Austin Beers, who really are making a name for themselves in the Whelen Modified Tour, really up on the wheel, because they know this is an opportunity to showcase their talent in front of all these NASCAR owners.
It certainly has. Now remember, we've seen Austin Beers do exceptionally well on a super speedway. Big victory coming at Richmond, of course. But today, a different track, but this is a track that carries a lot of the markings of some of the traditional modified tracks, like the Thompson Speedway in Thompson, Connecticut. It is 5/8 of a mile, but with a different style and a different rhythm. And these competitors are looking to find that rhythm here today.
There's Corey LaJoy in that 77 car, owned by Gary Putnam. He's back in the series again since 2023. Winner at the Martinsville Speedway, won the series finale as a grandfather clock. It's going to be fun to see how Corey LaJoy does today. He's got a little bit of work to do, starting from the 13th position. And there is the 38, the cookout colors for the 2000 NASCAR Cup Series champion Bobby Labonte, and a NASCAR Hall of Famer.
Certainly is, and Bobby loves modified racing. He is pumped up to be a part of the festivities here today. To the outside of him is John Michael Chenette. This was a kid that literally worked in the concession stands at Thompson Speedway. Now he finds himself wheeling a modified. His day job is an engineer in Cup competition. So we're looking at that front row. And of course, as we said before, Luke Baldwin, 3 starts last year, 7th at Wilkesboro and 7th at Martinsville. There's the car I think everybody's been talking about, and looking forward to having a great run. Ryan Newman, who's hosted a lot in smart competition, the Northwest Automotive Machine, and Bob Garbarino, the legendary car owner, is with us here today.
What a treat to see that V4 toward the front of the field, starting 6th with Ryan Newman at the helm. They had given the field the 1-to-go signal, but they will waive the initial start off. The Whelen Engineering lights come back atop that Ford pace car as it paces this field of ground-pounding modifieds. You see them, Ben, you talked about the differences between this track and what we've seen at Thompson Speedway, the last track that these series raced at. Here, 14 degrees of banking. It'll really hold you into the corner, but one of the challenges they face today is all this rubber from these different divisions, the Cars Tour, the Craftsman Truck Series, and NASCAR Cup Series this weekend. This racetrack is going to be very different on lap 1 than it will be on lap 100.
It certainly has, but of course in 2025, the series began at the New Smyrna Speedway, half-mile racetrack. It went on to Thompson Speedway, 5/8 mile. Was scheduled to go to Monadnock. Mother Nature changed that, so they've been at the bigger speedways. All three of those tracks have a lot of the same characteristics as this track does, but add a new twist to all of that. And we're going to see who discovers the magic of that twist first.
Well, the magic about ready to unfold here this afternoon under beautiful sunny skies at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Two young drivers with a lot of talent on the front row and the pole sitter. Luke Baldwin, a third-generation racer on the outside line, fires first, and we are underway here in North Carolina with the Whelen Modified Tour.
No question about it. Luke Baldwin quickly makes his magic to the outside. Then all of a sudden, right behind him, quickly moving in to take over that runner-up position. There's a good battle going on. Matt Hirschman wasting no time from the 4th position, Joe. Meanwhile, Austin Beers is on a roll back in position number 4, trying early to get to the front.
Here's Kyle Bonsignor, the first car to step out of line to the inside. We've got trouble. A right rear tire is down on the 58 of Eric Goodale, completely off the rim on that machine. A couple of cars, Brian Sonis nearly collecting after the fact, but Eric Goodale now eases that car down pit lane as that right rear tire just completely torn off the rim.
The GF Roofing Riverhead Building Supply machine. Not sure what happened, if any contact was made there, but you can see it is a story of a tire. There is Dave Zapienza's Ted Christopher tribute car, the KGM machine. He overshot his pit stall on pit road and is now backing further up. Zapienza runs a part-time schedule. Of course, he came from drag racing and did not enter the sport until, well, midlife, and adjusted very well to it. Has had some success on the Whelen Modified Tour as well.
We'll change the left front tire there on the Dave Zapienza number 36, but trouble a little bit deeper in the pack. We'll get another look at it here. On the replay, you see it was Zapienza that came down across the racetrack and into the Eric Goodale right rear. John Michael Chenette got a little bit of that as well, but it seemed like Zapienza might have been a little crossed up in the middle of the corner, and Eric Goodale had nowhere to go, and it caught that right rear.
It certainly did look exactly like that. Now you're looking at the 58 machine of Eric Goodale. Doesn't seem like a lot of going on there rather quickly to try to get whatever the problem was that caused it. Now we're going to take, I believe, another look at it here. Watch for the red car, sideways. That's the 36 of Zapienza. Comes down, makes contact with the right rear. Chenette was there, no place to go. I think he got the brunt of this unfortunate situation. Zapienza pulls away down on pit road. They're still looking at the right rear suspension, Joe, even though they're taking off a tire and putting one on. They're checking something underneath the car as well.
Yeah, they broke a little bit more than just a rim. That was a pretty hard hit he took from Dave Zapienza. You know, looking at that replay again, the outside lane looked as though it might have accordioned a little bit because Trevor Catalano was right in front of Dave Zapienza when the contact was made, and that, I think, had something to do with where that accident started. Couple of cars coming down pit road. They were running toward the back of the pack, among them Ken Hagee in the 18 car will come in for service along with Mike Marshall. They'll come in and see if they can get a little work done here on these machines.
Another car heading down on pit road is the number 29 machine. Whelen trusts the products to the first responders. Whelen caution lights are on, and of course, Whelen is the official warning lighting system of NASCAR, trusted to protect the first responders.
We'll take a look at that Whelen caution light. You take a look at some of the history of this race. This is only the third time the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour has run here at North Wilkesboro. The first time we were here, there were a lot of Whelen cautions, and you go back last year, it was Justin Bonsignor who had a dominating run, just one caution that race, and we expect here as the day goes on to see a very competitive side-by-side race. We're curious to see how this one plays out, if it follows the trend of the first race here or last year with a long green flag run.
Remember, last year we had a new racing surface that was part of the system. Did that make the big difference? Some say yes, others say, well, they're not sure. But one thing we're sure of, we're about ready to get them fired back up. Get ready, because it's time to go back to green flag racing. Matt Hirschman, one of the great all-time veterans. His dad, a former champion in his own right. Here they come to the line. Teamed up, equally matched. Green is back out. Side by side, Joe. Baldwin with a slight advantage, but in the apex of the turn, Hirschman right there to contend.
Hirschman did a nice job at the exit of turn 2 to put the nose of that 60 car out in front. He'll try to clear Luke Baldwin off turn 4, and he does. Matt Hirschman to the front, and if you're the rest of the field, the last thing you want to see this early on in the race is Matt Hirschman leading the way in the Whelen Modified Tour event.
One of the only cars to run at the bottom, white car on the inside of your screen. That is Justin Bonsignor in the Phoenix number 51. No one else has dipped that low in the racetrack as yet. Still early in the going in the competition, but you can see that yellow car on the outside, and of course that's Ryan Newman right there with Austin Beers.
Yeah, he's being challenged just outside the top 5. You see Justin Bonsignor sneak down through. Here's Tyler Ripkema in the old blue. Talk about two famous modifieds right there. You got the Bowler Racing 3, Bob Garbarino's Mystic Missile there in the outside lane. Of course, Tim Conley, who owns that now, but Tim Conley takes that legacy of the Mystic Missile very seriously, and he keeps that car painted that way in honor of the Mystic Missile and Bob Garbarino and everything that that car means to modified racing.
He talked earlier, he said that Ryan Stone, who is the crew chief on the number 51 machine of Justin Bonsignor. He's taken Bonsignor, and Bonsignor has taken him to many titles. But today, he's double dipping, helping out this team and Ryan Newman. Meanwhile, back up front, 6 cars. Who's jumping out of line now? Coming in the outside groove, it appears that Austin Beers is trying to make his presence known. He works to the outside of Jacob Lutz. The Lutz cars had a lot of different drivers in the past 2 seasons. All have had success.
Yeah, Jacob Lutz, though, has really earned this seat. He had a great year last year in part-time runs. This kid's got so much strength in the mental focus of this sport. He's an athlete. He knows how to stay tough. He has adapted very, very well. Joe Stearns, a car owner. Billy Putney, who turns the wrenches on this race car. He's got another quick car here today. And, you know, this car in particular ran really well here 2 years ago when they were here last week. Patrick Emmerling came home inside the top 5. No surprise to see the 14 running well here in the early stages.
You know, interestingly enough, as you watch the 14 car, he can put it almost wherever he wants on the racetrack. That was a perfect example there. He moved to the inside of Baldwin. They come off the turn, they sway to the right, but who's going to have it? As they come back into the next turn, it looks like Lutz is back in command of position number 2.
That car arcs perfectly through the bottom of turns 3 and 4. He could run lower on that end of the racetrack than anybody. He goes a little bit high here, tries to cut the corner off turn 2 to get that good launch uphill into turn 3. This racetrack very different on both ends. It's downhill on the front straightaway into turn 1, uphill up the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4.
Well, we continue to watch this battle. All of a sudden, Lutz has been able to reel in within striking distance. Took a peek to the inside, didn't work that time. Pulled it back into line. Single file, top 2. Then there's a battle which is starting to develop for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. No moves as yet in that pack of cars.
With this pavement being just 2 seasons old at this point, we learned last year that this racetrack trouble, though, Bobby Labonte smoke out the back of the 38 car.
Well, the cookout machine is smoke, and that's smoke of the wrong type for Labonte, as we are under yellow, as Labonte's car heads back down on pit road, and of course, under caution here for the 2nd time in today's event. You're looking at the 36th. Dave Zapienza involved in caution 1 and caution number 2.
That car badly beaten there on the front end. You see the front bumper. That might have been from the first caution. You see lots of damage along the left C pillar of this car as well. So pretty rough start here for Dave Sapienza, who's been running part-time in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Sad to see Bobby Labonte in the middle of this also have to go back to the garage area. Let's take a look at what happened. Down into the corner, you see Labonte's car up in smoke. You see the fluid billowing out the back of it, possibly laying down on the racetrack. Then what happens to Dave Sapienza in turns 1 and 2 after the fact? We saw his car with plenty of damage, and look at that. Like John Force on the back straightaway here at North Wilkesboro.
Certainly was, and of course, cooking of a different type of cooking, and then you can see the end results. The Sapienza machine, just as we called it, had some damage done to it. Down on pit road, there is Bobby Labonte dejectedly out early in this event. And I'm going to tell you, I've dealt with a lot of different drivers, as you have, Joe. He is one of the class acts. No matter what he competes in, he takes the time to communicate. He's a good guy. So this is really a tough blow for him. He was expecting a good run here today.
And he's here to compete with the Whelen Modified Tour, and I'm sure he is disappointed to only go 19 laps today. We're under the second caution here at the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Matt Hirschman shows the way. Under the second caution for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, Bobby Labonte has a motor expire, and Dave Sapienza involved after the fact to slow us here on lap 19 when the caution came out. Track crew continuing to work down through turns 1 and 2. Ben, one of the big stories coming in to this weekend, and has been a story over the past couple of years, has been the return of the Mystic Missile, the V4, to the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. The car owner, Tim Conley, typically the driver for this car, but he was recovering from spinal surgery and said, you know what, I can't run here at North Wilkesboro, but I can put a pretty good driver behind the wheel, that in the form of Ryan Newman.
Sure did, and of course there is so much history that surrounds this race car. Now if you look real close, Joe, see that V? It stands for V4. There's a real reason for that. Bob Garbarino owned a marina that built and worked on boats in Mystic, Connecticut. V4 engines were once the premier engines used in boating. That's where it originated. But I'm going to tell you something. I've known Bob Garbarino from the very beginning. There is not a more loyal car owner in the history of the Whelen Modified Tour than he was to this series. He only raced at these events. He only supported them in every way. Truly a great man.
And they have won at all the racetracks from Martinsville to Thompson
Yes.
and Stafford Speedway, and it goes on and on. Anywhere a modified raced,
That's right.
they were winners, multiple champions with drivers like Donnie Lee and Bobby Santos. More recently, many before that, guys like Brian Ross drove this modified.
Tremendous success he had with it. Bugsy Stevens literally ended his racing career. This was the final team that he drove for. So there is so much history with all of that. The best story that I like is Tim Conley's wife, a fantastic lady, decided that it was time for Tim to go back and go racing. She went out, made the contact, and made the purchase for her husband. How'd you like to get that for a gift?
Not bad. They even have, still back in the day, they even to the last couple of years of running this 1985 GMC straight body truck that they carried this car around for years. That was sold recently. A racer down at Bowman Gray Stadium uses it today. But that was part of the allure, the history. They were one of the first ones to make a pit box and a pit cart for these modifieds.
So much history.
The Garbarino family did so much for modified racing. Bob Garbarino in the house here at North Wilkesboro today, enjoying some of the finest modified racing around.
And he loves the modifieds. Truly a legendary, great individual that sacrificed a lot to be a part of this series and is so proud of its growth. What a beautiful day here at this facility. Unfortunately, we're working to make the conditions ideally suited again. You know, before we went to caution, Joe, we were talking about the times and how close things were. We're looking at Jeanette's car working on the front end. But Jacob Lutz is, he's getting closer and quicker as well.
Yeah, Jacob Lutz looked really, really good before the caution flag came out just a handful of moments ago. You know, Ben, this year, Whelen Engineering and many of the NASCAR partners have put together a huge purse throughout the entire season, but even this race here at North Wilkesboro, big money on the line for these teams, as much as nearly $15,000, just under $15,000 to the race winner, $5,500 call it for a second place. You go right on through. This year has got one of the best paying modified races, and it's been that way all season long and will continue that way for the modifieds here in 2025.
It sure will. The year-end payout for this series will be in excess of $400,000. That's an amazing situation all by itself. You were just looking at the payoff for today's event, but with almost $500,000 on the line, making it one of the biggest paydays ever, with more than $1.9 million in total race purses. NASCAR is focused. They want the Whelen Modified Tour to continue to grow. And I'm going to tell you, the popularity that you and I experience and see with modified racing is now become a household word. And it's been a while, but it has happened again.
A premier division for modified racing. You see that here by participating on the same racetrack on the same day as the NASCAR Cup Series, with the All-Star race coming up later on today. Of course, modified's own Ryan Preece in the house today. He was qualified 5th for the Open later on tonight, trying to race his way in to the NASCAR All-Star race for the first time for RFK Racing, a champion of the series just 12 years ago in 2013. There you see the Cup Series garage open and ready as they prepare for All-Star night, and just to be able to share the track with these teams.
Wow, that's special.
And there's a lot of them through that garage area who came up through modified racing. The Northeast, the heart of modified racing, is where many of those teams and drivers have come through. You think of the spotters that are on the roof, the engineers behind the scenes. Even
everybody.
One of the car owners will tell the story later, Gary Putnam from Vernon, Connecticut. He has won some of the biggest races as a car chief in NASCAR competition while working with Chip Ganassi. There is so much history in this series that ties together. And even Matt Hirschman, you see the spotters up there on the roof?
Yes, they are. The
His
guys
brother,
are ready.
Tony Hirschman will be spotting for him today. Now spotter for Joe Gibbs, Ty Gibbs in the 54 car later on tonight.
The Mustang pace car dives to the bottom of the racetrack. We are ready to get them fired back up once again. And the big question is, what we've seen so far, the 14 has been very quick, but on this start, not quick enough, because the rabbit car, Joe, becomes Matt Hirschman again at the point.
Matt Hirschman wanting to get out front and control this race. That leaves Jake Lutz to have to battle with Luke Baldwin on the inside lane. Baldwin rolls right to the inside. That's where Lutz was a little bit better there before that caution flag came out, but they will continue to battle into turn 1.
Meanwhile, a side-by-side battle of 2 white cars. It is Bonsignor who peeks at the inside lane. Can't do it. To the outside, Austin Beers. These two have come to the front of the field. Then it's 2x2x2 all the way back to the bottom of the top 10.
Little by little, that 22 car of Kyle Bonsignor is making his way forward. Trouble behind them. It's the point leader. Patrick Emmerling has spun through the middle outside the top 10 in turn 1, and that's going to bring another caution out, and there's damage. Heavy damage to the Emmerling number 1.
So, third caution of the event comes out. Cars that are involved, the 15 car of Joey Cipriano was able to pull away. His first big outing here at the Super Speedway, was looking forward to it. But Patrick Emmerling's machine, remember the story of the points, Joe, going into this event? The margin is closer than we've seen it in many, many seasons. Dale is the crew chief on that race car, and of course, they needed a good finish here today because what was that margin, Joe, between first and second?
Very narrow. It's very competitive at the top of the field. 6 points separating first and second there at the top with Patrick Emmerling. Let's see what happens. You see it mid-pack, and Emmerling's going to get a little bit of help from behind. Might have been the Hodgson 05 that got into him. Emmerling went around, and it didn't seem like he had any damage there, but sometime on the apron he might have gotten collected, possibly the green Tyler Berry car down low. Watch the 05.
Watch the 4 of Newman. There's the contact there. You're right, the Hodgson machine and Emmerling. Ryan Newman backed out of it. He was smart. The other cars involved came in kind of after the fact in this one. As we're looking at it is Gary McDonald's machine. Correction, no, that's the, looks like we've got the 59 car now as work still continues there.
Couple of cars got out of shape getting into turn 1. Ryan Newman, one of them to the outside, as was Teddy Hodgson in the 05, went sliding through, and Emmerling thought that he was going to be clear of that before the Tyler Berry car came sliding in after the fact. Now, we talked through the season. At New Smyrna Speedway, Patrick Emmerling won the race, but he had to start at the back of the pack and race his way forward. Late in the going at Thompson Speedway, they had a left rear tire that would not stay on after the pit stop. He went a lap down. He was able to get that lap back and finish on the podium and had an opportunity to compete for the win in the late stages. Now it's going to be at the minimum a new radiator for the front of that one car and see how poised this team can be at salvaging this day, because in the modified tour, which is 16 races on the schedule, if you want to win the championship, you cannot have bad days. Mulligans are not what the champions give up here in this game.
Certainly are not, and you can see what's going on. They're trying desperately to get that radiator back out. Remember, the temperatures of the fluid in that radiator and the radiator, it makes it almost impossible to do. But remember, the front bumper, referred to as a chrome horn, not chrome in this case at all, has been pushed back. Those are what they call bolt-on horns, Joe. They can take them off and replace them if need be. Will they have to do that to get the radiator out? Well, time holds the answer in that one, but they are definitely working to try everything possible to be able to pull that off.
Obviously a lot of damage to it. You wonder how much those horns might have been bent. You could run them when they're a little sideways and bent, but you got to be able to bolt all that back together. And so once you take it apart, you know, you're going to have to take the old sledgehammer and put that back into place. So you see the teams, they're preparing for anything that might come out of the bottom of that radiator. You see where a lot of fluid was already put down on the racetrack. And what's interesting to me is they're also working a little bit before where the incident happened. And I wonder, when we saw those two cars get sideways, whether or not there was something else going on the racetrack there before that spin took place.
You might be exactly right. It appears that they are looking to condition the racetrack as well. And of course, individuals like young Tyler Berry in the Billy Michaels prepared machine, the Pro Systems car, they were victims after the circumstances and all of that. But down on pit road, of course, more speedy drives required there as well. So even though we've had cautions early in the event, and of course we continue to look at what's going on pit road. A lot of magic with those wrenches, but the clock is ticking, and hopefully they'll be able to get that out and get it back in. But boy, people aren't moving as quick as we had anticipated them to be moving as well.
So while work continues on the Patrick Emmerling #1, we'll step aside as we work the third caution of today's Whelen Modified Tour event. Continuing to work the caution period here at North Wilkesboro Speedway for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour as the FaithFest Evangelical Ministries 150 continues to roll on. Matt Hirschman has had the dominant car so far, but here's what took us under the most recent caution.
Sure did. And as you can see what took place there, Hodgson apparently made contact. We're not sure what happened there. It was a racing situation. Here's another look at it here. It doesn't appear there was contact made, but there it is. And then Ryan Newman backs out of it, and then the one car spins to the bottom, Joe. We're not sure, and then after the fact comes car number 59.
Here they see the radiator punctured on the front of that one car. The point leader, Patrick Emmerling, plenty of damage on the front of that machine. They've got their work cut out for them. You see the fluid pouring out from underneath it, and that is why there's so much speedy dry around this racetrack. You know, getting another look at that replay, it seemed like Ryan Newman getting off the end of the front straightaway, all of a sudden Emmerling checked up a little bit more so. Newman didn't want to get into the back of him, kicked it sideways, hit Emmerling. Emmerling shot down the racetrack toward Teddy Hodgson. Seems that might have been just an old racing incident as they got into turn one, but that has been the trouble spot here today. That's where all the action has been on this end of the speedway.
It certainly has, and of course the work still continues as they try everything to get back and into the hunt in this particular event. There is the number 77, the Curbs machine, and of course that car is Corey LaJoy of the famed competition. You mentioned Gary Putnam. He lived right down the street from me as a youngster, Joe, and my dad used to bring him to the racetrack because he didn't have any way to get to the racetrack at that time. But then he went down south. He made a name for himself. He's truly a gentleman car owner, a gentleman expert when it comes to engineering and mechanics as well.
1996 was the last time they ran a points-paying NASCAR Cup Series race here at this racetrack. Gary Putnam that day was a crew member as a tire carrier for Ricky Craven.
That's right.
Back that time. The gentleman that was changing tires for him, Tommy Baldwin Jr. on that same car. Those two guys, car owners in the field here today for the NASCAR Whelen Modified. You talked about Vernon, Connecticut, your hometown where Gary Putnam is from, and Corey LaJoy, whose dad was an Xfinity, at the time Busch Series champion, from Danbury, Connecticut, about an hour or so apart. Danbury on the western edge of the state of Connecticut, and towards the eastern side of the state, Vernon, Connecticut, right along I-84, the two of them both coming from Connecticut.
Sure was. Then you take the young up-and-comers, Stephen Kopsick from the Danbury area as well. In addition to that, Teddy Hodgson, also coming from that part of the marketplace as well. But there's a youngster, made his presence known in the Smart Series, came out like gangbusters. If only his grandfather could see what he has accomplished in a very short time. His dad, of course, the driving force behind him as well, but it looks like things are still single file, and work still continues. All eyes on pit road are on the Patrick Emerling machine for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. See if that championship point leader can at least get back out. He's lost several laps on the pit lane. Can he get that car repaired, Dale Hedquist and that team, and get back out onto the racetrack? The one still working there. And this is the thing about this team. We have learned that even when the tide is turned against them, they've got that new radiator in already. It looks like
do.
They're already looking to put some water back inside of it. Even though the tide has been turned against them often this season, it's how they have been able to deal with the adversity that has kept them in the fight. It's days like this that kind of show what I like to call that championship resolve.
I agree with you exactly. They just never, ever gave up. They now are about to put the hood back on the car. The air cleaner has to be removed. They put a container type thing to prevent any dust or debris from getting in there from the speedy dry. Now down on pit road. This is not a scheduled stop, we don't believe, for the number 64, the Ron Newhouse Sly Sabin prepared automobile for Austin Beers.
Now, Austin Beers was running in the 5th position. This a strategy call as he brings his machine down the pit lane. Either strategy or is there something wrong with the 64 of Austin Beers? Was super optimistic coming in to this race until today. Was the only Whelen Modified Tour driver to win a pole here at North Wilkesboro. He didn't get that today. That went to Luke Baldwin, but they will come in. Looks like it'll be tires right now.
Yes.
They'll take 2 rears for Austin Beers.
So it was a strategic move, and that's exactly what they're doing. 2 rear tires, right side, left side on the A-Team car. They're now moving back behind the wall with the guns, making an adjustment, a round of wedge being turned in as well. Incidentally, you can see the one car is still in front of them, and now Austin Beers makes it back out.
So Austin Beers will continue on to the racetrack. You saw them were putting a whole bunch of water. Now they're putting a cap over the top of the carburetor, Ben.
Yeah, that's just to keep the speedy dry out. A lot of the newer cars, the Fury cars and the LFR cars as well, the hood is sealed so tight that they have to take the air cleaner off to take the hood off. In the old days, they would cut an opening and you wouldn't have to do that. When they do that, they certainly don't want any debris like speedy dry or oil dry getting down in that engine. That's the reason for doing that.
Well, the car was running a moment or two ago because I saw the fan belt spinning on the front where the power steering is, and then they put the cap on it, and I see the crew guys taking their gloves off, which makes me wonder whether or not they are able to get this car repaired.
It certainly does appear that something has went awry for this second time, because all of a sudden there was a lot of action going there, and now it appears
not a lot of urgency.
No, all of a sudden they're back behind the wall, and it appears that perhaps, maybe, their day might be over.
Could be devastating for the one car of Patrick Emerling to be out this early.
Sure was. And remember, 1 year ago, they picked up momentum from the Thompson show about mid-season, and from then on, there was nothing but tremendous success. And that success they carried right in to the opening events of the season.
So they're going to wave the restart off here because they've got to tow that Patrick Emerling car off pit lane, and he's right at pit exit. And so Emerling will be done for the day. The crew will begin to pack up and make their way to the next stop on tour at the Seekonk Speedway here just a few weeks away from now, the Concrete Palace. But a tough break there for the one of Patrick Emerling. But it opens the door and the opportunity for drivers like Justin Bonsignor and Austin Beers and Stephen Kopsick, who are inside the top 5 of the championship chase, to pick up some points. And they are all paying attention to what they see out here on the track right now.
They certainly are, and you can tell exactly just that as they now double the field up. You mentioned that they're going to be heading to Seekonk Speedway, one of the favorite stops of a lot of folks. But right now, we're focusing on what's happening here, as it looks like we're about ready to get them fired back up.
Let's check in quickly on pit road with Matt Dillner.
What happened?
Oh man, just really disappointing. We had a great car. We were moving forward, and I thought we were right where we needed to be. And unfortunately, there was a restart, and we got taken out. And there was nowhere. We got taken out. I was at the bottom of the track, and just one of the guys got collected into us. So super unfortunate for this Fleetworks #1 team. It's just bad luck. Like I said, we just got taken out. Getting into the corner, and that's it.
Tough day for your points leader here at North Wilkesboro.
The thoughts of Patrick Emmerling as we went back to green. Matt Hirschman spins on the restart, and Trevor Catalano putting his car back in the right direction. So things out of order here when we got back under green.
Austin Beers might have been involved in that mix-up as well. So just as we went back to green, kind of a chain reaction took place. It was a ripple effect because it was up front as well.
Let's see what happens on the outside lane. There you see it. The contact was made as Matt Hirschman just got out of shape, came across the nose of Jake Lutz, and then everybody's sliding on through, trying to avoid the inside lane. Watch the other cars that are involved here. Well after the fact, everybody started checking up. There you see the contact between Trevor Catalano and Austin Beers, who was on pit lane.
So then it was nothing but a chain reaction that brought out the caution once again. As tough break there initially, we saw as we went back to green.
So Matt Hirschman on his own in the outside lane spinning like that. You do not see that very often. Look here, they're battling for the race lead. Oh, there was contact.
Yep.
It was Jake Lutz who got into Matt Hirschman. Lutz was able to get away. And there is the 64 of Austin Beers. I didn't say it, and I was thinking it when Austin Beers came down pit road. You put yourself at risk in the back of the pack where we've seen a flurry of cautions already. That was a bit of a bold and risky move for that team, and I think he's going to get away with it here, but that was pretty dangerous to have them pit outside the top 5 and go back into where all that action was going to be.
Well, it might be the best strategy they might have had or planned for. Now down on pit road, here comes, of course, heading in is number 21, Stephen Kopczyk, checking things out as well with a quick pit stop. So strategy is starting to come into play. Kopczyk's machine is, of course, the Newtown Pool sponsored car, and Stephen Kopczyk brings it down on pit road. Guys over the wall as well. Kopczyk is not only a good little race car driver who's running up front in the points in the Monaco Modified Series as well, but he and his crew work feverishly to set that car up. His dad instrumental there as well. And there is our 14 car back on pit road, Jake Lutz, and they continue to work the magic there.
There's the Hirschman 60 on pit lane. He'll take an opportunity to get tires as well. The tire rule for this race, you have 5 tires that you can change throughout the event. You can only take 2 per pit stop. Matt Hirschman will take right side tires only here on this particular stop. It looks like he will head back out onto the racetrack. Now they can come back down and make more tire changes, but they can only do 2 per pit stop. So the field gets the 1 to go signal, and we'll cycle back around. The front row looks a little bit different this time. It's Luke Baldwin on the inside of the 70 York. Justin Bonsignor on the outside of row 1. Quietly making his way forward is Tyler Ripkema in Old Blue, number 3, a driver who had a lot of optimism coming in. And Kyle Bonsignor, that's Justin's cousin in the 22, will restart to the outside of row 2.
Well, we're going to see exactly how all of this will affect this restart. We saw what happened in the last restart round, but Baldwin on the inside, Bonsignor is outside. And you're right, Tyler Ripkema, very strong, very consistent. All the experts say it's just a matter of time before he puts Old Blue into victory lane. They're back up through the gears and speed. Baldwin is the leader, and Ripkema sees daylight on the bottom of the racetrack. Can't quite complete the move. Bonsignor still digging in hard in the outside lane.
4-time champion in the outside lane of Justin Bonsignor trying to hold off Tyler Ripkema, but Ripkema in the inside groove will take over the second spot and give chase to the race leader, Luke Baldwin. Here comes the battle of the cousins, though. Kyle Bonsignor hot on the heels of his cousin. And you go further back, it's Ryan Newman, who's trapped in the outside line. How about the 79 car, Joey Braun, making a pretty good run here today in his debut?
Certainly is. Joey Braun just looking pretty racy now, surprised by some, but not by all, as they continue to work their magic.
It's been a decade since that 79 of the Hill Enterprises family, David Hill and the entire group, have run of the Whelen Modified Tour. Joey Braun from Long Island, New York, won in a legend car at the Riverhead Raceway earlier this month, having a good showing there. Battle for the lead. Here comes Tyler Ripkema in the 3 car, digging down to the inside lane of the racetrack, trying to take over the top spot from Luke Baldwin.
There's no question, side by side, and Tyler Ripkema makes it look so easy. Car number 3 advances to the front, trying to make the crossover as Baldwin. It doesn't happen now.
Tyler Ripkema out in front with Old Blue here at this historic North Wilkesboro Speedway, leading and starting to open up the gap to the second place car of Luke Baldwin as he took over the race lead 54 laps into today's event. As Baldwin now trying to find a little bit more speed. There is Ripkema, misses the entry of turn 3 and 4, and that allows Luke Baldwin to close right in on the back bumper.
He is able to do just that, but by the time they get down to the bottom of the turn and back on the grass, back on the gas, it is Baldwin still working him over. Looks to the outside, it just doesn't work. Bottom shot, will it pay off? And while that's been happening, it is Bonsignor who's in striking distance, preparing to make that move that may give him the opportunity for position number 1.
Look how Baldwin is searching high, searching low. He enters into turn 3 a little bit higher than Tyler Ripkema. He'll able to get to the inside off the corner, but just loses all that momentum and can't quite get position underneath the 3 car.
3 car running really well and continues to dominate the racing action here. Baldwin is there. Let's look a little further back in this situation, and we see the number 46 car of Craig Lutz. We haven't talked about Lutz at all. He is contending and working his way, now pressuring Ryan Newman. Craig Lutz is currently running 10th on the field.
How about the 23 car, Carson Lofton, 3rd generation racer. Brian Lofton, well known for his modified expertise, and Carson, who made his debut in the Whelen Modified Tour at North Wilkesboro just 2 seasons ago, marching to the front. He's put a lot of focus this year on the Cars Tour, and we saw great racing here this weekend at North Wilkesboro out of the Cars Tour, and he is charging to the front.
Certainly is. As we go back up front, and it's still Tyler Ripkema doing a great job of holding off the heavy pressure that is being applied by the number 7 of Luke Baldwin. Baldwin cannot quite get there. He can run with him, but not able to pull alongside or move to the outside groove.
3 different leaders in the race so far today. 5 lead changes here as we just passed the 3rd mark, 4 cautions mark. This particular race, this battle for the top spot continues to rage on, but Luke Baldwin backpedaling a little bit. That allows us to look back here at the battle for 7th. Here's Carson Lofton swinging to the inside of turn 3.
Carson Lofton dives to the bottom, tries to pick up the spot. Will it pay off? Lofton now moves in. That will bump the Braun machine back to the 8th position. Ryan Newman sees the same kind of an opportunity. Will it pay off for him? Not this time, but he's still right there in the inside lane. And then the 77 for Corey LaJoy running in that pack of cars. LaJoy now running in the 10th position.
Talk about cars that are on the move. Carson Lofton started today's race in the 21st position. He's picked up 14 positions. Also, you look at Craig Lutz. He's picked up 8 spots since we got back into the green flag condition. He is on the move in the 46. He currently rides in the 14th spot.
And other cars that are making their presence known. The 54 of Tommy Catalano, he's coming to the front of this field as well. He was another car that was involved or near the involvement a little bit earlier. Trouble now. Come together. Lofton gets shuffled to the upper lane. He backs back because guess what? More smoke erupts from beneath car 23, and a big flame will tell the story.
5th caution of the day. This time an engine expiring for Carson Lofton up off turn number 4. And you see, look at the fluid just pouring out of the front of that machine as it came to stop. That one went in a big fashion. Lofton, he's got that window net down, but it was going so well until then as he was battling for the 7th spot. You see they came together, and he got up the racetrack just as that motor expired. Everybody able to get down to the bottom, but a short end to Carson Lofton's day when he had a great race car.
Certainly did. A heartbreaker for this young, talented driver as he was right there contending as well. Here's another look at it. Goes to the upper groom. Little bit of situation on the bottom. Everybody squeaks on by, but the motor does expire, and that will end his day. After turning some heads here, he really had worked his way up in contention among the top 7 positions.
This is going to be an interesting opportunity with this 5th caution coming out. 82 laps to go. This is about prime time to be able to come in and get some tires on your race car. So we'll see what the race leaders do and whether or not we've got a little bit of action along the pit lane. Want to circle back on what we were talking about just before the caution flag came out. Outside of Carson Lofton, who had picked up 14 positions since the start of the green flag, Craig Lutz, who was involved in that incident while racing for the race lead along with Matt Hirschman, he had come down pit road, got some service on his car very quick with those new tires. He picked up 8 spots, and at the moment is now running in the 12th position. So the 14 car of Jake Lutz, still one of the quickest cars on the racetrack, even though he's mired just outside the top 10.
Certainly is, and that is definitely been the story so far. Carson Lofton heading back rather dejectedly. A heartbreaking situation for this young, talented driver who is having such a great run going on as well. So we have seen so far a couple of situations where engines have been the problem here, and that's kind of surprising for some. We're looking at Craig Lutz's machine, the number 46 car, and of course Lutz was running just out of the top 10, Joe, in the 11th position at the time that the caution came out. Of course, that's not where he is, and we're looking at the 14 car right now.
Of Jake Lutz. No relation between the two, but both drivers extremely talented. We should have pit stops when we come back from North Wilkesboro. We're working under the 5th caution of the day for an engine problem with Carson Lofton. Back here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, working the 5th wheel-in caution of the afternoon as we continue to get the track clean, this time for an engine that has expired on the number 23 for Carson Lofton as he came off turn number 4.
Well, the wheel-in lights are on, and of course they are the official warning lights of NASCAR, trusted to protect first responders. Whelen Engineering, first name in lights and safety services.
Keep an eye on that light in particular, waiting for it to turn green and to see whether or not pit road will open. Well, boy, Whelen has put so much behind this series over the past several years. They renewed their partnership last year at the Martinsville Speedway during championship weekend, and they have poured so much into the teams, into the drivers, not only in promotion, but in safety equipment and the purse that has been applied for the champion. Over $400,000 in the point fund this year. We saw nearly $15,000 to win the race here today at North Wilkesboro. Whelen Engineering, a Connecticut-based company. They've got a plant up in New Hampshire as well, not far from the Monadnock Speedway, has poured a lot into this Northeast-based series that has, over the years, continued to stretch its legs a little bit and travel further south to tracks like North Wilkesboro here today.
Certainly have. And of course, all of that history, they are an American company and proud to be a big supporter of that. Well, the fans have come out. The weather has blessed us here today, Joe. There's no question about that. Everybody is filed in and filling up here as we are still working and preparing the actual racetrack itself to get back to green flag competition.
Get a look at the roof there. David Hill in the orange shirt, owner of that 79 car for Joey Braun, back in the Whelen Modified Tour. The Hill family, such a big part of modified racing. Great to have them back in the Modified Tour here this weekend.
Certainly is. And of course, here we go. Just as we called it, predicting from our vantage point, the parade of cars come down. And of course, Tyler Ripkema, the first to head down on pit road. We'll see exactly what happens here.
Let's send it down to pit road. Matt Dillner will have all the action as pit stops are underway.
Number 3, Old Blue, the Bowler Racing entry. As it enters the box here, the crew goes to work on the rear of this race car. They'll jack up the back of Old Blue, put on 2 rear tires. Crew Chief Greg Fournier telling me they're going to open up the stagger just a little bit of a tight condition. But Tyler Ripkema not complaining about that 3 car at all. He is fast, and he gets off of pit road first. Luke Baldwin, Matt Hirschman, Ryan Newman on pit road as well.
Justin Bonsignor appears to have won the race off of pit lane. You saw a quick stop from the race leader, Tyler Ripkema. He'll come out second. Then you've got the 64 of Austin Beers and the 46 of Craig Lutz. Now, Beers was on pit road earlier, so he'll come out in third. But it's Justin Bonsignor, one of the quickest pit stops of the field so far. You see right there at the line is Bonsignor by a half a car length, able to beat Tyler Ripkema at the exit of pit lane.
Certainly was. Then, of course, right behind Austin Beers, you noted that you saw the Craig Lutz machine. Down in pit road, the Baldwin number 70 York car looking to change the left rear tire. And as we said before, we talked about the Austin Beers situation, Joe. Was that good strategy or not? We didn't know. Then, maybe that'll come into play. Baldwin makes it back out, but it's not the stop that they had been hoping for.
Well, Baldwin playing a strategy game here because you could only take 2 tires. He went from second back to 5th on pit lane. They decided to come back down, get the left rear tire as well. So they've gotten the tires that I think they're going to take for the rest of the race. Now, can he use that to his advantage to race his way through to the front of the field? Now, a couple of cars decided to stay out, and those were the cars that pitted the last time through. That's going to hand the race lead to Corey LaJoy, who will be leading the way. Steven Kopchik, who came down pit road earlier, and Trevor Catalano inside the top 3. So Justin Bonsignor, even though he won the race off of pit road, he will head out onto the racetrack in 4th. There is Corey LaJoy and Gary Putnam's number 77. Leading the way here. Remember, we talked about his success in the modifieds, winner at Martinsville a couple of years ago in that grandfather clock. Would love to see what he can do here in the second half of this race today, as we have just passed the Josteens halfway point, and a bonus to Corey LaJoy for being the leader at the halfway of today's race.
Certainly has, and of course this has changed everything because LaJoy will be the leader. Steven Kopchik will find himself now alongside in row number 1. Trevor Catalano, Justin Bonsignor, Tyler Ripkema, and Austin Beers round out the top 6, Joe. Go ahead.
Trevor Catalano continues to impress with the Whelen Modified Tour, and I alluded to it during the starting lineup. This is his debut race at North Wilkesboro. Last year, his older brother got married, and they decided they had already had the weekend all planned out that they were not going to run this race. So Trevor Catalano has never raced here in the Whelen Modifieds, yet he's coming here in a solid top 3 run. He's been strong all day long, and this kid continues week in and week out to impress as a contender in this series.
Certainly has, and of course, this kid can adjust, whether it's a short track like a quarter mile at Monadnock, or whether it's a speedway of this size, a 5/8 mile facility. He's been able to get the job done. And of course, it's showing here today, early in this event.
Let's go back down to pit road and Matt Dillner.
Well, of course, we showed you the 3-car of Tyler Ripkema down on pit road, 2 tires. Well, Luke Baldwin came down. He took 3. Tommy Baldwin Jr., his dad, talking to him, he says he loves the handling on that 7-car right now. Don't touch it.
All right, pace car is in. That's the story there on the Luke Baldwin number 7. He's got some work to do now with those 3 tires, as he'll have to roll from the inside lane deep in the pack. Corey LaJoy on the inside lane. The race leader will fire first, but he'll have to battle with the outside lane. Number 21, Steven Kopchik, one of the best mechanics in the series, is also back behind the wheels. One of the best drivers now settles into second.
Certainly does. He sets in that second spot at this point. Bonsignor quickly moves into the 3rd spot. 3 cars, single file. Then they're doubled up. Austin Beers trying to make it happen on the outside of Catalano. Can't get it done. Catalano is loose. Back end snaps around, and Ryan Newman is also involved in this situation with 4 or 5, make it 7, 8 cars involved.
It has been tricky on the entrance of the corner. This track is greasy today. It was the first car that went around was a 56 of Trevor Catalano. Sliding in after the fact was Kyle Bonsignor, a wrinkled V4 for Ryan Newman. Let's take a look again and see what happened down into turn 1. Inside lane, it just snapped around for Trevor Catalano, and everybody in the accordion trying to find a way through, and they all collected, including Kyle Ebersol was involved with that. Ryan Newman, we get another look at it.
Another look at it as it comes into the turn. Everything is okay. Then all of a sudden, Catalano gets crossed up. 27 comes in. Upper lane, everybody tried to avoid. Joey Coulter up there as well. Joey Cipriano is one of the cars that was involved at the same time. Another different look at it. There's the back end of the Catalano car coming around. Meanwhile, track is blocked in the upper groove, and what you're seeing is the situation. And down on pit road now, it appears that Ryan Newman is there with the Tim Conley operation.
Right front off the 22 of Kyle Bonsignor had a strong car today. Sparks flying from beneath that machine. We talked about Ryan Newman. It didn't look like he got any damage on the wheels of that car. It hit the front bumper, and it hit right behind the wheel. You see right there where that sail panel has been knocked off. You see the rubber mark there of the IGA Marketplace colors, but I think it was able to avoid both the Nerf bar and the tires, and I don't think that that's going to hurt that car all that much.
I agree with you. It looks like that it was just superficial damage done to the body of the car. They're still working on the other side at this point. Car's down off the jack, and it looks like Ryan Newman is returning to the competition. Nerf bar, there's the front bumper. Nothing really severe there. That might have took place in an earlier situation for Ryan Newman.
And that aerodynamic, I mean, they are going pretty quick here, and maybe a little bit with that spoiler could impact him here at North Wilkesboro as far as the downforce in the back. But it's not like a stock car where all of that body's got to be perfect to be able to create speed. It doesn't really work that way with these modifieds. Maybe if we were racing in the draft at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, that'd be a different case, but not here today. There you see the right front damage on the 22 of Kyle Bonsignor, a 2-time winner in this series, one at Langley Speedway, one at Stafford Speedway.
And we also saw for a second there, the crew members were giving the indication, shut the engine down. Now it looks like we've got a little bit of work taking place.
A little bit of damage there on the track. You see the track officials grinding out part of the track, I would assume, is down in turn 1. We'll have to get the official word here, but looks like they've got that sorted out for now and been able to walk away. All that brand new pavement from a couple of years ago, but quite a bit of damage down there at that end of the racetrack.
Certainly is, and of course they will continue to work with that. Back down on pit road, the number 40 car is also being worked on.
Luke Fleming on the pit lane. So we work under the caution flag here today. Cup Series star Corey LaJoy leading Steven Kopchik and the rest of the Whelen Modified Tour field at North Wilkesboro. Sunshine is out here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. One of the brightest cars on track is that Mystic Missile number 4, driven by Ryan Newman. It's been the story at the start of the day. Let's hear more on the car. Let's go down to Matt Dillner.
Well, a lot of damage on that Mystic Missile 4 car owner right now, Tim Connolly. What's the damage? It looked like the front was okay, but what about the rear?
I think it's okay. Just a little bit of cosmetic stuff right now. Got the spoiler back up in the air. The front end looks okay. It's tracking fine, Ryan says, and he's a wheel man. We're not done.
Hey, is this driving you nuts, though, being the car owner?
I hate this.
The nerves are pretty high down here in the 4 pit, but Ryan Newman is back on track. A lot of damage to the right rear of that race car, but they had the hammers out, knocking it out. A little bit of spoiler damage, but nothing touched the right front wheel, so that's the good news here in the 4 pit.
Matt, I'm with you. It's harder to watch your baby out there on the racetrack than it is to be behind the wheel like a parent watching his child out there. And Ryan Newman has the helm. It's in trusted hands, though. That Mystic Missile is in trusted hands.
It certainly has. And, of course, he's one of the best sitting behind the wheel. And we'll see. He's not done yet by any stretch of the imagination here. Looking at a little bit, well, battered and bruised, but still a good race car that can get back to the front of this field.
He'll have his work cut out for him. He'll be a little deeper in the field. Before the caution flag came out, we saw that Luke Baldwin had come down for 3 tires. He's been able to race his way back up to the 11th spot as the field circulates here through turns 3 and 4, just trying to get some heat in the tires. Matt Hirschman, with his troubles, has been able to rally back up to 6th after spinning earlier. Remember, he came down pit road and got some tires there as well. So a couple of cars moving forward after some troubles. Ryan Newman hopes to be one of them after this caution completes. He's back on pit road here, getting a little bit more work, trying to stay on the lead lap for the V4 there, and the Mystic Missile of Ryan Newman.
Work still continuing there. Once again, back in, checking the toe on the Mystic Missile at this particular time. So as work still continues to get things on the racetrack, scheduled back and set up for the remainder of the competition. You know, Joe, we were talking about the different strategy of this event on the pit strategy and so forth with it. I think we've seen some perfect examples of that early in the event. Several different competitors with several different theories. Among them, that 64 car that we're looking at right now of Austin Beers. Remember, they were the first to pit.
They came down pit road early, and it allowed them to get the track position back for that 64. Mike Murphy, the car owner of this car, back at the track this weekend at North Wilkesboro. He has been battling some health issues. It's been just about a year since he's had an opportunity to come back and witness his car out on track. And, you know, Austin Beer is saying, you know, I've had a great start to the season, my best career start to the season, but everybody wants to talk about Patrick Emmerling. Everybody wants to talk about Justin Bonsignore. And you know what? I'm frustrated that I'm not part of that conversation. And I asked him, I said, what is it going to take? He said, I got to go out there and I've got to win races. I've had 2 great finishes with a runner-up and a 3rd place to start the season. I led a lot of laps at New Smyrna to kick things off. Had my best run ever at Thompson Speedway. Came up a little bit shy of the win that day. But I am a championship contender, he told me. I want to be in the mix. I'm tired of hearing about those other drivers. I want them talking about Austin Beers.
You know, and that is so true. He had that conversation with me as well. And he's a focused young man. He really is. He learned his lesson well. They're next-door neighbors to the famed Hirschman family in Northampton, Pennsylvania. So he literally grew up around racing every day, every night, and experienced it from 2 of the best. His dad, they were 3 generations of that family that competed in modified racing over the years. Eric Beers, who drove the bowler machine, had a great deal of success with that as well. But this kid is really focused, Joe. Second isn't good enough, and he's not, well, shy to even tell you just that.
They worked hard for many years to try to get the qualifying aspect of their game sorted out. They got that going, and then you look at the strength that they have had. You go back over the past handful of races. He's qualified inside the top 5 for 12 of the last 13 races. He's been finishing inside the top 5 in 7 of the last 8 races. He's a consistent runner up front, but he's done so quietly. And as we said, he doesn't want to be quiet anymore. We'll see how much noise he makes here on what he called the biggest stage that the Modifieds will race on all season long, and I think he's got it spot on with all the Cup Series, all this fans here packing the grandstands at North Wilkesboro Speedway. he wants to be the one to shine here today.
Certainly does. And of course, we saw that 4 car heading back out for the competition here as well. Corey LaJoie, Stephen Kopczyk, of course, they will be the men in the front row once again. You talk about Corey LaJoie, was kind of an interesting story. Back when he won the Martinsville event, Joe, he was doing it in a borrowed race car. That particular automobile, he had the ride in for one particular deal. Robbie Fuller put together the deal for that operation to come into play. They had success, they won the event, and then everything changed. Like it does in the sport, it was time to look for a new deal and a new opportunity.
Well, looking for another opportunity for a green flag now as the field lined up behind that Ford pace car will make a hard left-hand turn down onto pit lane. The inside groove has had the advantage so far on the restarts. There'll be 57 laps to go when we get back under the green flag. Corey LaJoie on the inside lane, Stephen Kopczyk. Another shot at the front row will start to the outside lane, and that car out there, they get sideways, and Bonsignore goes spinning. One car is airborne, and the leader, Corey LaJoie, spun out of the front row, and it's a parking lot on the front straightaway.
It certainly is. Among the many cars involved, Matt Hirschman's car is involved. The 51 machine, also a part of that. Backing back now, the 55 car is one of the cars that went to the inside for Jeremy Gertzner. But it appears the 77 was the car that initially was a part of that unfortunate chain of events.
Hard to tell what happened there to Corey LaJoie. We'll get another look at it in a moment. Joey Coulter in the 02 out of shape. Here's the replay. You see the 51 right behind LaJoie, but LaJoie's car seemed to step out sideways as soon as he went to the accelerator.
Sure did. That appears exactly what happened. Bonsignore tried to correct. They were all jammed up at that point. Here's another look at it. 77 spins to the inside. Bonsignore up in the outer lane, and a few competitors were fortunate and were able to get on by. Different look at it. Bonsignore comes right across in front of the Hirschman machine. 7 New York Baldwin able to get on the brakes momentarily and get by Catalano. Same story there. But there is the damage done to the 15 machine, and that, of course, another one of the youngsters that was expecting and hoping for big things. Joey Cipriano, the fueled-up motorsports car, Fury chassis race car, Dependable Engineering. And there is the 77 back on pit road. And Joe, they're working to the back end of that machine, and you know what that might mean.
Damage to the rear of that machine. Joey Cipriano, you alluded to the 15 car down a pit lane. First time racing outside of New England. He said, when I saw North Wilkesboro Speedway on the track, oh, there's Matt Hirschman. Heavy damage to the left rear of the 60 car. Helmet off for Hirschman. But to conclude there on the 15 of Joey Cipriano, he said, I had to race. I had to come to North Wilkesboro, and the handful of races he'll run part-time this season, was quietly running out there inside the top 15 today. It's not his day.
Certainly is not his day, and he's well worthy of it. We're looking at another look at it. You see the 77 snap around. Bonsignore directly in front of Matt Hirschman. Hirschman had no place to go whatsoever. Coulter was able to slow the pack behind him down and was able to pull away.
Jake Crum was a car that went airborne there when you saw across the line the 37 of his machine. They've just about got the 15 of Joey Cipriano pulled off the front straightaway. Matt Hirschman mired back in traffic when that all unraveled there along the front straightaway, along with Joey Coulter was involved. His car going back into the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Garage, as he will not be one to ride the elevator to the top of the roof here at North Wilkesboro. There's Jake Crum.
Yep, the Jake Crum machine checking with the officials. Car number 05 returning to the competition again. He was right there in the middle of that. No fault of his own
Look at the
whatsoever.
front bumper. Skyward.
Yes.
On the 05 of Teddy Hodgkin. That car was fast in practice. Very calculated driver. Justin Bonsignore on pit lane. Left front tire is down. Front end pushed in badly. And Patrick Emmerling doesn't want to wish bad on anybody, but if he's going to have a bad day, it helps him to have Justin Bonsignore have a bad day too.
It certainly does. And you can see the Phoenix communication machine heading back down, trying to get in It appears that the front of the machine is pushed in a bit. No real problem there. They can get that back out. But the left front tire being flat is what the big problem is. And now he's heading down at pit road. We'll see how quickly they can get this situation fixed as the championship team, Team Phoenix.
That car was inside on the bottom lane, second row, and when they came together, a car just darted and hooked hard to the right across traffic to the outside wall. Justin Bonsignor, reigning series champion, defending race winner. They've got a left front tire on. They're going to try to see if they can keep him on the lead lap. They'll send it back out onto the racetrack.
Looks like they did their job well with that, Joe, because he's coming right back out now, and that should be a positive situation with him. Let's see what else is going to happen, though, with this. Will they be heading back to pit road and making further checks and adjustments?
I'd imagine that they'll come down at least to try to check the toe on that race car, and he's going to do just that, try to stay on the lead lap as much as possible. That right front tire does look like it might be pointed a little differently than the left front tire, so we'll see if they do a bit of work to get that repaired. But again, trying to stay on the lead lap and maximize the day here now for Justin Bonsignor and this team. Corey LaJoy back in for service as well. They took right side tires for his car, now coming in for the left side tires because they had not yet come down pit road. That's how he was able to get the race lead in that 77 by using track position to his advantage, but now they'll get 3 fresh tires.
And there you're looking at Matt Hirschman's race car. Severe damage done to the back end, the left rear quarter, the left rear suspension, and then of course we can see looking at that rear suspension does not appear to be extremely bad, but bad enough to take him out of the hunt. And of course the left front being flat on car number 60. Once the early leader of the event, and now a former race winner here at North Wilkesboro. Day is not a good day for him.
Amazing how greasy the track has been today. We've seen multiple times cars get spun loose on their own. We don't often see that in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Lots of different rubber that has been laid down on the racetrack with the 3 different divisions that have been run, including the modifieds. And it's a warm, greasy day. This is a soft tire that they're running. It has more grip than most of the tires that we've run the Whelen Modified Tour. They run it all year long. This particular tire, it's got plenty of grip, but for some reason, it's having a hard time planting into this asphalt here in North Carolina.
Well, the fans are loving it here in the sunshine, and the crowd is filled in very impressively. Everybody is modified fans, and when it comes to North Wilkesboro, it's one of the highlights of this great week of motorsports enthusiasm from the fans, the competitors, from all the divisions of NASCAR as well. So the work is still continuing to go underway as we are resetting the field backstage, as now they are back single file formation. Looks like we've got another visitor to pit road.
It's Bonsignor will come back down pit lane. Ben, a big weekend of racing this weekend.
Yes,
How about up ahead? Of course, next weekend, one of the biggest weekends in racing across the board, and great action here on Flow Racing that you can catch. High Limit Racing will be running. You've got the Lucas Oil Series is going to be running as well with the late models, and sportsman action at Bowman Gray Stadium as time goes on. From all around in Flow Racing, now is a time to get involved, and if you want to see racing of every different discipline, you can do that on Flow and enjoy great action just like we're seeing here today.
You certainly can, and if you haven't, tell a friend. Get them to subscribe and be a part of it, because you won't be disappointed. It's not just auto racing. That's what we enjoy as the headliner. It's sports in general. Flow Racing. Now it appears that things are still ready to go green, doubled up down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Here they come. Different player on the inside. That, of course, is Austin Beers. Steven Kopsick leads the parade in the upper groove.
Kopsick, the race leader, chose to restart on the outside lane. 49 laps to go, and that car fired off with speed. He's able to get ahead of Austin Beers as they go to turn number 1, but Beers, good launch to the center of the corner. He'll draw even midway down the back straightaway in a battle for the race lead.
Side by side, he makes the bid. Craig Lutz moves to the bottom. Here comes Luke Baldwin on the outside. Brand new leader emerges. It is car number 64, Austin Beers at the front. Here comes Lutz. Here comes Old Blue. He's back in the hunt. Tyler Ripkema is working his magic with Baldwin, going from the outside to the inside.
Fifth different leader of the race so far, and it's Austin Beers, but it may be another because here comes Craig Lutz. Lutz darts down to the inside of turn number 1, jumps out in front. Now Baldwin looks to the inside of Austin Beers off 2.
6th different leader of the event. Lutz takes the shot to take the lead, moves into the number 1 spot. Here comes Baldwin. He's trying to dive down to the inside of Beers. Beers trying to keep momentum up. All of a sudden, here comes Kopsik. Kopsik squeaks to the inside. He'll move into the top 4.
Boy, that 21 drove deep down into turn number 1. Somehow was able to get it done, and Tyler Ripkema didn't like it. He'll shove Kopchip out of the way, slide into 4th.
Kopsik couldn't keep the car down. That gave the opportunity. Now look at Luke Baldwin.
Hard
hit
to the outside wall. Ripkema into the outside wall, straight in the middle of turns 1 and 2. That'll bring us under the caution for the 8th time today, as that car just took off up the hill in turns 1 and 2 for Tyler Ripkema while battling inside the top 5.
Tough break for him. He was really turning some heads here today, and he hits at a ton in the famed Bowler number 3 car that you can see a ton of damage done to the front and the back of the machine. Tyler Ripkema, family operation, Joe. They did so well for themselves, but they said, we work so hard with our day jobs, we didn't have enough time to prepare and run our race team. We thought this was the ideal situation, and I think it's proven that. Consistency has been the strong point for him.
They've been very, very fast this season. Heartbreak to see such a hard hit for him in the middle of turns 1 and 2 while battling for position out on the racetrack, and Tyler Ripkema and that team will certainly made some noise here today, was a contender for the win now within 44 laps of the finish here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and he's got the helmet off, and hopefully we'll see him climbing out of that car here soon. You're right, they are a company, their family business installs lighting for stadiums,
yes.
and similar to racetracks around the country, and they have teamed up with one of the most historic cars in modified racing, and that is the Bowler Racing 3. There you see Tyler Ripkema moving inside that race car as he's about ready to climb out, and that is a welcome sign. That is a very, very hard shot that he took into the outside wall.
It certainly is, and it's good to see. He appears to be, of course, a little bit sore after a hit of that nature and that type. We're going to take a look at it. Here's the situation down the front straightaway, down turn 1. Looks like there might have been some contact, but the end results was the 3 car hitting at a ton, front first, then snapping back around. Ryan Newman just trying to get down out of harm's way. There it is again, Joe.
Yeah, contact from the 21 of Steven Kopchik. They got into the corner. Kopchik just drove in a little too deep, got into the corner, and that is the story there. You see how Tyler Ripkema feels of that. And we saw a moment ago the two were battling very closely side by side. Ripkema had given a little bit of a shot over there in turn 3 to push Steven Kopchik up out of the way, and then down into turn number 1, contact again. And you know, with these modifieds, he had it slid sideways, and when those right tires bite and it just shoots it up the racetrack, these are big tires, and when they hook fast.
They really hook, and that's exactly the best way to describe it. So there is, you can understand the frustration that we just saw moments ago. Steven Kopchik maintains his position at this point, still working heavily to the bottom of the racetrack.
41 laps to go here at North Wilkesboro under the 8th caution of the day. Cleanup continues in turns 1 and 2. We'll be right back. working under the caution flag here for the 8th time today at North Wilkesboro Speedway. You see what's left of the speedy dry to the bottom of turns 1 and 2. But let's take a look what brought us under the caution. First, let's go back a couple of laps earlier. This was a battle for position. Stephen Kopchik got underneath into turn 3. There's Tyler Ripko making contact. Kopchik goes up the racetrack and then down the front straightaway into turn 1.
As he goes into turn number 1, all of a sudden there is some contact made. He spins up the racetrack, hits at a ton, comes back down, and there is the moment of emotion and then some to express by Tyler Ripkema to Stephen Kopchik. Well, we saw what built up to all of that, and there is Old Blue, the USNE Power Machine, the Northeast Drilling Company car, down the pit road, everybody looking over the extensive damage. You don't see that car, Joe, damaged in many race events to this extreme. So this is kind of a tough, odd day for that group. Back down on pit road, Austin Beers, they're changing the right rear of that car, and now Beers comes back out. Is it going to cost him a lot of positions on the racetrack?
Well, he was second according to timing and scoring, and then came down pit road here under this caution for that new right rear tire, and that is a tire you've got to protect here at North Wilkesboro. And we saw right before that caution flag came out, his car was well out of shape coming up off turn number 2. He might just have had just a little too much to handle here and just felt that he needed that extra stability in that 64 car.
I think you're right about that. Remember, he was the first car to pit. Based on him pitting early in the event, that right rear had a lot of time on it. You're looking at the Stephen Kopchik machine heading down on pit road at this point. And yes, he's going in as well as car number 21. In. Looks like they're going to go right front tire change on the 21 machine.
A little bit of a problem there getting all the lugs off of that.
Still a problem.
When you look at these cars, they are a little different than your typical, what was now the Xfinity series, how the lug nuts are all towards the center of the hub, and the modifieds are out by the tire,
Yes.
way out by the outside.
In the old days, they called it the Y5 because it was the highest part. And if you noticed earlier, there were some markings on some of the tires so that the crew members could see exactly where the lugs were, and to do that as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Stephen Kopchik comes back out just in front of the pace car, and we're doubled up. Looks like we're going to be firing them back up again. Well, it's changed a bit at the front, but will it stay the same? We've seen some intense competition so far as the field has had its shares of ups and downs, but right now we're about ready to go back to green.
Getting set to go back under the green flag. 34 laps to go here in the Whelen Modified race at North Wilkesboro. Craig Lutz to the outside lane, the race leader. We saw that work for Stephen Kopchik, and he launches from the outside, bypassing Luke Baldwin. Baldwin settles into second. Now here comes the brothers battling for third. The inside lane, the advantage goes to older brother Tommy Catalano over his younger brother Trevor.
The Catalano brothers running real sporty at the front of this field in that third and fourth position. Meanwhile, Baldwin tries to run in the tire tracks of Craig Lutz. Lutz is still in command. All of a sudden, a little bit further back in that third position is the two Catalano boys, and then things are starting to move forward there as well.
Luke Baldwin, though, he has gone to the whip. He is closing in on the back bumper of Craig Lutz as they come across the line. Into turn number 1, Baldwin will try to bring the nose across the inside as they exit turn 2.
There's no question we've got trouble again.
Mike Marshall off the end of the front straightaway in the 28. He's got problems, and Tyler Berry in the 59 involved.
Tough break there. 2 more of the young guns involved in the situation. Tyler Berry's number 59 car in the Billy Michaels Prepared Pro Systems machine.
So much talent for Tyler Berry, champion at the Stafford Motor Speedway. His family legacy in modified racing.
Absolutely. His grandfather, the legendary Art Berry, and of course his dad, also instrumental in building race cars. The Spafco race cars were synonymous with racing, and literally you can see a little bit of leapfrog there of the wrong type taking place. Comes back across, there's that big jump. Marshall's car really stood on its nose. Kenny Berry, of course, his son's car Tyler Berry, no place to go. And, of course, the end results is trouble now for the young and talented driver who got a bright career ahead of this young man as well.
And Tyler Berry running full-time for Rookie of the Year honors this year in the Mendoza number 59 modified, as he is able to walk away shaking his head dejected. Art Berry, a legend in modified racing. He was a car owner for the mighty Mike Stefanik when he won championships, and his son Ken Berry, a great talented driver as well.
That's right. Individuals like Mike McLaughlin, Jeff Fuller, all of these individuals were synonymous with driving for the legendary Art Berry. And, of course, they are right in casino country in the Preston, Connecticut area, a proud heritage of the American Indians family as well. And there is the other driver, Marshall, who was a victim of circumstances in that as well.
Mike Marshall waves to the crowd as he gets out. Ninth caution of the day. We'll be back from North Wilkesboro here in a moment. North Wilkesboro Speedway hosting the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour for the third time in series history, a track that has been part of the NASCAR tradition going back to where it crowned the first champion in NASCAR, Red Byron, back in 1949 here at this famed facility, and it has seen a whole lot of history between now and then. The legend living on as part of NASCAR All-Star Weekend, and the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour privileged to be part of that as they set the stage for the All-Star race coming up later on tonight at this historic facility.
Sure is. And, Joe, this has been literally a roller coaster event so far. We've seen so many of the front-running teams and cars. But what about this? Car number 51, Justin Bonsignore, is now back up to the 6th position. Now, it wasn't long ago he was a lap down, made that up. We're looking at the situation here that caused that to be, well, almost the end of his day. Then we saw Cipriano make contact with the number 77 car of LaJoy, but Bonsignore is back, and he is in striking distance, by the way. Craig Lutz, we haven't talked much about him. He has been so close so many times, but he has come up $1 short every time. So Craig Lutz, will this be his shining day? Remember the time period when Craig Lutz went to another team for a while, came back to this team. Since he's come back, they've had tremendous success, but they haven't been able to get that win. And that win is what it's all about for Craig Lutz and the 46 team.
Go back to 2019 when he took over for this number 46 car, was able to score a victory then, won 3 times in this car. They went different directions. He drove the Danny Watts number 82 for a time, reunited, and now looking to get back in victory lane for the first time since Thompson in the 2022 season. They have been fast. Doug Ojaco, the crew chief behind the scenes tuning the wrenches for this race car, has found the magic with Craig Lutz. He's always had speed, but now they're out front when it matters most.
Certainly are, and that's the case. You know, we haven't seen that many front bumpers up in the air, which is an indication they're using those things here today, and we've seen some incredible competition with that. Lutz is the leader. As we said, front bumper up, it doesn't matter. He is out in front and continuing to run away. What about the Catalano boys? There is no question they have come into their own, but it appears that there's, well, a family rivalry perhaps going on between them too, and who's going to be the next Catalano name to be added to the win list.
Tommy Catalano nearly won at Richmond 3 seasons ago. He had old tires, couldn't hang on at the end. Justin Bonsignor snuck on through after he dominated the race in that 54 car. But he has watched his younger brother, who, by the way, he gave the best pieces and parts to
he did.
when he came on last year and sacrificed for the 56 car, his brother Trevor Catalano. That family, for the first time ever last summer at Monadnock Speedway, scored the victory in the Whelen Modified Tour after years of heartbreak and being oh so close and bringing all this equipment, the mom races, the 4 boys
Everybody
race.
races.
It's
in
a
the
family of racing, and now all of a sudden, they've become factors at every single race we go to.
You know, and we want to go back to that race for a moment. He just didn't win the race. He really dominated the race at the finish. It was a great victory. It wasn't handed to him by any stretch of the imagination there.
Take a look at some of the other runners in the field here today. Luke Fleming making his debut in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. He's up to the 9th position. He gained 22 spots on the day so far. You look at the Fleming family, Winston-Salem, and everything that they've accomplished there. Frank Fleming, the entire group. He's won in the Southern Whelen Modified Tour. As a matter of fact, he won in his debut race.
Yes,
that
he
was
did.
at Bowman Gray Stadium. But today on the Whelen Modified Tour, makes his debut in this 40 car in the Fleming family modified and having a run inside the top 10.
You know, he also, we should point out, another guy that's done a great job so far is the 79, Joey Braun. Recent win at Riverhead, from the Legends to Long Island. He's been here. He's running the Smart Series. The Hill family, longtime folks. They've got this car dialed in today. He is confident and running very smart so far. He has currently worked his way, and he has worked and earned it into the top 5.
Had a great run here today. We'll see how it all shakes up. We've seen just about anything happen here this afternoon at North Wilkesboro, and we are not done yet. 22 laps to go. Craig Lutz trying to hang on and get his first victory in 3 years. Luke Baldwin trying to bring the 7 of York back to victory lane for the first time in, yes, 28 years, when Tom Baldwin, his grandfather, won at Stafford Speedway in 1996. He wants to put a Baldwin back in victory lane in the driver's seat in the Whelen Modified Tour as a green flag comes out.
Lutz with the advantage, pulls away, made it look so easy, but they're 2x2, and it's a pair of Catalano brothers behind them. Baldwin tries to peek at the inside. Lutz tries to shake him off, down into the turn. It's Lutz still in command.
Lutz able to hold off the charge for Luke Baldwin, but Baldwin is hungry. Meanwhile, behind them, the 51 of Justin Bonsignor battling with Joey Braun. Braun walks up the racetrack. Bonsignor has to play defense, but how about Jake Lutz? He'll take him 3 wide off turn 2.
No question, Lutz does a great job of doing just that. Look a little further back in the field. Austin Beers trying to work his magic. He's still running. Beers is now getting closer to the front. He's in the top 7. Meanwhile, back up front, leader still remains Lutz. He has got perhaps the biggest lead since we went back to green that he has had in this last round.
We saw earlier in the race today that Luke Baldwin's not afraid to search for different speed and lanes around the racetrack. He runs a little lower through turns 1 and 2. Here's Justin Bonsignor working to the inside. This will move him into the 4th spot underneath Trevor Catalano.
No question, the 14 car also right there is a factor. We saw that situation as it was working, as Jake Lutz continues to show some steam and some muscle in this event. As we look, there is another battle that's now working. Beers now snuck down to the inside, went around Catalano, and right there with him, it is the Braun machine working its way back towards the front.
Remember, Austin Beers has that new right rear tire. Justin Bonsignore, he's got fresh tires as well after he was on pit road. He works to the inside lane. Jake Lutz behind him, giving him the front bumper. Lutz has the quickest lap times on the track right now, even in traffic. He'll touch Tommy Catalano on the front straightaway as he looks to move into the position.
There's no question about it. Lutz has got a rocket, and he is using everything he has to stay with and get around Justin Bonsignore. Lutz is flying back to the front of this field. Still good racing as we see. Craig Lutz, the leader of the event. Jacob Lutz in the 4th position. Justin Bonsignore just in front of him. Now Bonsignore starts to pull it out. But look at the amazing lead for Craig Lutz now over Luke Baldwin.
Craig Lutz aware of how fast those cars behind him are going. Here is Steven Kopchik with new tires, working to the inside of Joey Braun. That'll move him into the 7th spot here as we are now inside 14 laps to go. Here's Austin Beers inside Tommy Catalano. This is the battle for 4th.
Austin Beers takes it in deep. Catalano drifts up a lane. Beers is coming forward. Austin Beers now moves in. He will take over the 5th position. Meanwhile, caution flag is back out.
That was a battle for 5th for Austin Beers to slide on through. Here is Trevor Catalano off the pace here along the back straightaway. He's got problems with the left rear of that 56 car as he hobbles around here now. 13 laps to go. The intensity has ratcheted up behind Craig Lutz, Luke Baldwin, Jake Lutz, Justin Bonsignore, and Austin Beers. That 3rd, 4th, and 5th place car, they've got the new tires, and they are showing the speed.
They certainly are, and we're looking at what brought out the caution here. Off the turn, went up the hill. I believe something went awry. Maybe something broke a panhard bar or the tire itself as he just slid right up the racetrack. And the end results, he's able to pull away.
A little bit of a hip check there, and I think bent that left rear wheel for the 56 of Trevor Catalano. The car in the inside lane slid up the racetrack, caught that wheel, and Catalano had nowhere to go. So he's out on track trying to see if he can limp this car to the finish. Pit road now open. He'll bring the car down to the attention of the crew and see if they can get a new tire on the 56.
Certainly is, and of course this is going to be a shootout. And of course, when we go back to green, the restart is going to be crucial, Joe. There's no doubt that that is going to be the deciding factor because the laps continue to tick away as we come down to the wire.
Craig Lutz out and front. Luke Baldwin sitting there in 2nd. Justin Bonsignore, at the beginning, the resolve we were talking about was Patrick Emmerling, right? He had to start at the back and New Smyrna won the race. He had a left rear tire that came off the car on pit lane. They had to back it up, get it reaffixed, went a lap down, was able to race his way back up to 2nd. Now Justin Bonsignore goes nose first into the front stretch wall. We're running 3rd. Everybody piles in. The front stretch is a parking lot. His car all torn up. They come down pit road, get him some tires, send him back out, and Ryan Stone has his car back up to 3rd and just as fast as a race leader.
Absolutely just as fast, and you wouldn't know it when you look at the damage done to the machine, but that is definitely the case. We also saw these other stories. We saw competitors like the Baldwin machine in and out of pit road. Strategy changed. We saw the 64 with a different approach to pit road strategy, pitting early in the event. Some contact was made by others. They've come from the back to the front. But it's all come down to this, the final 10 and counting here at North Wilkesboro for the big day, the big race. And everybody is looking to be the guy that goes up on that elevator as the big winner today.
The car I've got my eye on is a 14 of Jake Lutz starting the outside. The outside has been better on the restart. He was faster than the race leader when we got going the last time through. Craig Lutz is away. They touch. Here comes Luke Baldwin to the inside in a battle for the race lead and the win at North Wilkesboro.
It is Baldwin on the inside. Little room is left on the outside. Lutz continues to dig in and dig in hard. Baldwin is here. Baldwin has it by half a car. Off the turn, it is Luke Baldwin back in command.
Baldwin out in front. Jake Lutz did not get a good start in the outside lane. He settles back into 4th, but it's not over yet. Craig Lutz hunting into turn number 3, right to the back bumper of Luke Baldwin.
He's not done yet. He takes a peek, looks to the inside. Back end sways a little to the right. He'll try it again. Bottom shot move. They cling, they clang, but the leader is still Baldwin, but here comes Lutz.
Open wheel modified action. Here comes Craig Lutz. Diving down to the inside, slides up, Nerf bar off turn 4, and Craig Lutz back to the race lead.
While Lutz is there, all of a sudden, Bonsignor sees daylight. He looks for the opening. Craig Lutz is there. Baldwin is fighting back, trying to do the crossover. It's still Lutz. Here comes, stepping on a line, Austin Beers, also in the top 5.
Looking for 4th. 5 laps to go as they come to the line this time. Craig Lutz trying to hold Luke Baldwin, Justin Bonsignor, and Jake Lutz at bay. Steven Kopchik now inside the top 5 off 2.
They continue to run in hot pursuit of one position only, and that's to be the winner at North Wilkesboro. Out in front, Lutz continues, times the margin between first and second, .160, and it's not over with yet.
Here comes Luke Baldwin. He loses a car length that time by. Deeper in the pack, Austin Beers steps out of pack, still looking for more. 3 to go this time by. Can the driver from Miller Place, New York on Long Island hold on for the victory at North Wilkesboro?
He continues to do a great job of doing just that, but the clock is ticking. Time is running out. Craig Lutz, who's been in search of this victory, and what a prestigious one it would be to win here at Wilkesboro.
2 circuits remain, the 5/8 mile course. The battle for 3rd is intense. Justin Bonsignor trying to hold off Jacob Lutz, but out front with a healthy advantage now. Craig Lutz hoping to see the white flag this time through as they work off turn 4.
The color white. No one is surrendering in the Lutz team. They're going for it. White flag has been out. Craig Lutz in the final time. We're riding with him to victory lane.
Off turn 2, clear sailing ahead for Craig Lutz. He'll guide the car into turns 3 and 4. Looking for the checkered flag for the first time in 3 seasons and the 5th time in his career. Craig Lutz has won at North Wilkesboro Speedway.
No question, Lutz has become a deserving winner at North Wilkesboro. The Riverhead Building Supply machine is the big dog today, and what a great run by Luke Baldwin. In the 2nd spot, Justin Bonsignor came back with a strong run. Even Jacob Lutz, the same can be said there. Austin Beers to round out the top 5.
He had speed when it mattered most, was strong on the restarts at the end, using the outside lane to his advantage, and Craig Lutz was able to survive the event today to get the win at North Wilkesboro Speedway. He'll take that elevator ride to the top of victory lane. Doug Jaco, the Goodale family, and the 46 car for the first time in many, many years back in victory lane here in the Whelen Modified Tour.
And so deserving of their effort, everything. They've earned it, they've worked hard for it, and now they have the hardware and the money to prove it. There he is, getting out of the race car. He is ecstatic, fist bump in the air, and there is the checkered flag. And what a good run for this talented driver that is so long overdue for this type of success.
Big stage for the Whelen Modified Tour, and Craig Lutz is a man of few words, but when he gets a race car like today, you can see the talent that he has. And this 46 team starting to fire on all 8 cylinders with a really strong run here today, and held off some of the best in the business there at the end. We know the talent of Luke Baldwin and Justin Bonsignor. They were pouring on the steam at the end, but Luke Baldwin just did not have enough for Craig Lutz, who is unfazed by the challenges behind him.
You know, and we got to give credit where credit is due. Luke Baldwin, he set on the pole in this event with the fast time. He ran up front, worked his way from the back to the front, and he was able to get the job done. There's the Sunoco victory flag, as the Lutz machine is the car and the driver and the team that is deserving of the honors at one of the most historic tracks that the Modifieds have been competing at here at North Wilkesboro.
He will take home his share of just under $15,000 for his victory here today. An outstanding purse for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour and the FaithFest Evangelistical Ministries 150 here today. A celebration that he will remember from many, many years to come. He's won at some of the most historic tracks in the series already. Stafford Speedway, Jennerstown, and a 2-time winner at Thompson Speedway, but will now add North Wilkesboro to his name and the accolades that he will have in his storied modified career for Craig Lutz. Let's go down. Let's hear from some of our top finishers. Let's go down to pit road and hear from Justin Bonsignore with Matt Dillner.
All right, Justin Bonsignore, a strong third-place finish. Did you think when you were wrecked here on the front stretch that you'd even be right here?
No, just sorry for the fans and everybody that we put on such a bad race, me included today. I tried to time that start and just got them lifted up, and then they got into the back of me, and it just, there's nothing you could do at that point. But that was a really tough race for our series, and it's a bad look considering what the opportunity we had today. So I apologize to all the fans at home, everybody here, especially for my part, Corey and Gary and their team, and everybody else that got caught up in that. But, yeah, I knew, once the tow wasn't terrible and it wasn't going to overheat and it was drivable, I thought we'd be okay considering how much carnage there was. So at times I thought I had a better car than both of those guys, but I had no front bumper, so I was really, just trying to give a gap in case, because they kept crossing each other over and stacking each other up. So just had to take what we could get there. And then just trying to hold off the 14, man. Every point's tough. I don't care if it's race 3 or not. So, yeah, just all in all, a good day by the whole whole pit crew, Ryan Stone, and the guys did a great job coming back. I thank Phoenix Communications, Claricom IT Solutions, Fury Race Cars, M3 Technologies, Robbie Yates Engines, just everybody that makes this possible to come down here. Thank NASCAR for this opportunity. I just wish we would, as a series, done a little better. So hopefully we get another shot.
All right, Justin Bonsignore, third-place finish, but a great points day with the trouble for Patrick Emmerling.
Yeah, that's true, Matt. Certainly things will get changed quite a bit when we look at the standings here at the end of this one. Justin Bonsignore, we thought he was going to have a down day with that problem, but he was able to rally back. And there it is, what they all came here to do.
Yes, sir. And you can see this guy and this team is so deserving. There is the best ride in the house, the elevator ride to the top floor, where memories become a permanent fixture for the Whelen Modified Tour. And, of course, here at North Wilkesboro, a young man that's so deserving of that victory here today. He worked, he earned it, and he never gave up. The story for Craig Lutz.
Standing to the right of him is his crew chief, Doug Ojeko, and that team has been working on execution. They were so good over the last year or so at first half of the race up to the pit stop, but then missing the adjustments after the pit stop, putting themselves in position. There you see a big thumbs up to his team. Doug Ojeko's been working at this with Craig Lutz. These two work very, very well together, and once they figure out this execution piece of these races to get a full, solid 150 laps, I think they could be dangerous, and we saw that here today.
I think you're right, 100% right. We saw this event have so many ups and downs, so many different twists and turns, but the one thing we saw, the team that won in this race car, they kept to their game plan, Joe. They didn't verify or go in a different angle. They just stayed focused, and that is how it became the story of a win here at North Wilkesboro.
This is a big moment. You can't take away the moment of what this means. These are guys that tomorrow are going to go back to their day jobs. They're going to go back to work. Today they get to celebrate. They get to drink the champagne, enjoy everything that is a victory in a NASCAR touring series. But tomorrow, they're grassroots guys. They're going to hop in their pickup truck, go back to work. And right now, this moment, they're celebrating. All the Cup Series haulers just feet away. That's right. Packed house celebrating to see them. This is a moment to shine in the sun today.
It certainly is a moment that you will never forget, whether you're a driver, whether you're a crew member, or whether you're the owner of the automobile. There's nothing like that feeling right now.
Steve O'Donnell from NASCAR and Joey Denowitz, who leads the managing director of these series, offering congratulations. Let's go down to Victory Lane and hear from our race winner, Craig Lutz.
All right, here we go. Craig Lutz, the winner here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. The North Shore of Long Island, New York, comes to North Wilkesboro Speedway. Biggest win of your career, Lutz. What are you feeling right now?
God damn, I don't know what to feel. It's been so long since you win. You know, the series is so tough. You always got to, it's been, I think, 3 years, so especially getting back with these 46 guys. So you don't know when the next one is, just because they're so hard to win. So many good cars, so many good people have to be involved, and a lot of good luck needs to go your way. But damn sure it did today. Can't thank Riverhead Building Supply, Russell and Jeff Goodell enough for everything they do to give us the best opportunity to come here. Every single one of these guys, some of them been with me for 5-6 years, every car I drove. Doug Ojico did an awesome job setting the car up. After qualifying, I didn't know what we're in for. I think we qualified 16th, 18th, whatever, I don't even know. So to pull this off, my spotter, Brian Narducci, did a hell of a job. Robert Yates' engine has a ton of horsepower, which keeps us up front, and every single person that was involved. My fiance at home, all my friends, little Timmy T, who's always watching my races, every single person that's been behind me from the beginning.
All right, I got to ask you about the ferocious battle. You know, we had a mess of a race, let's be honest, but that ferocious battle between you and Luke Baldwin, how crazy was that?
That was wild. You know, you feel like you could never get a big enough jump on a restart, and Luke did a hell of a job getting to me on the inside. You know, he's got a very bright future, as we've seen the last couple races, what he was able to do. So, you know, just we were a little bit better. Didn't want to give that one up and fought all the way to the end, and luckily enough, we were able to come up on top.
Okay, I got to ask you, for a kid that grew up in Manorville, Long Island, New York, how big is it to be here on a NASCAR weekend, all-star weekend, winning in front of this crowd?
It's wild. I mean, you literally, if you told me which was the biggest race to win, it'd be this one, and we just did, so it's pretty freaking cool.
Awesome. Hey, we have our Hoosier draw here. Let's draw here to see who's going to get a free tire, compliments of Hoosier Racing Tire. Who is it?
Lucky number 11.
Lucky number 11. There you go. So, hey, Craig Lutz, career win, was his 140th start here in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and he does it with a show.
He absolutely did, Matt. Thank you for the coverage on pit road today. Craig Lutz today started in 17th. That is the deepest a driver has started in one since Patrick Emmerling's victory at Stafford in April of 2021. He started 23rd that day. He put it all on the line, did Craig Lutz today, and he was able to get the victory.
Sure was, and what a victory it was, and so deserving, as we said before. Well, the schedule moves on. The next stop will be on May 31st to the Seekonk Speedway for the Whelen Modified Tour. On to June 14th, the Riverhead Raceway. White Mountain Motorsports Park is a must on June 28th, and Lancaster Motorsports Plex will be on July 12th. Monadnock Speedway, 2 days, July 19th and 20th. And back at Thompson on August 6th.
Boy, it was a wild one here today at North Wilkesboro.